What does one say to an ancient Nephilim ghost?
I suppose you start with...
Show me the money!
Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on YouTube? It's Filthy and we're back with another Diablo 3 video. Season 33, we still do not have a start date, but I have been testing a little bit of PTR, mainly on the wizard, a little bit on necro for leveling, and I just want to let you know how the season theme is going to impact Season 33, some of the builds, what to do, that kind of thing. Before we do get going, as always guys, a thumbs up brightens my day considerably. So the season theme is split into two parts for Season 33. It is a repeat of Season 22, which is the Shadows of the Past. So it is the Shadow Clones and the 4th cube slot. Now, the Shadow Clones, I think I did remember this correctly in my last video, but basically they will help you considerably up until GR 110, because you'll be able to speed farm with them and they will pretty much wipe stuff out up until that. They scale off your sheet GPS though. How much damage is on your sheet is how much kind of damage they do. It's random as to which one of the clones you get. They've all got pre-done builds, but up to 110 you can speed along with them and they will help you. So almost any build in the game is going to benefit from these Shadow Clones, like up to that 110 speed range. After that, they really do start dropping off quite considerably. They can still be helpful in defeating like elites and Rift Guardians up to like GR 125, but after that, they're pretty much only adding a very small amount of damage. And I think Max Roll basically say, look, after 140, they do nothing at all, and they may as well not be in the game. Now, one of the things that I think is interesting, I'm going to do a full playtest on video, is how are they going to affect us for leveling. Now, because they scale off your sheet GPS, you're going to have to kind of, I think, alternate going to get shrines with actually doing the Temple of the Firstborn runs to try and get some gear, because when I jumped in and did like a level 1 necro, I found 2 shrines on Torment 6 and I got myself up to like level 16. I didn't bother equipping any gear. I then jumped back into T6 to try and find another shrine, which I did, and the clone basically couldn't even defeat the elite that came out of it because I had no extra gear. I just simply had the starting crappy free scythe that you get. So I think it will help us level because you will be able to dip into this like T6 mechanic. I'm going to have a little bit of a look for the best locations for shrines. I've got a couple of places in mind, so as I say, we'll make a kind of video on that. But it will help us because we will be able to whack it on T6 every so often and just basically farm the pylons. How much faster it's going to be, whether it's worth the fiddling around, that's obviously up to each individual player. I remember being quite interested in doing this on Season 22 because it made leveling different rather than it being like the same for the previous 21 seasons. So yeah, I think the Shadow Clones, they're going to be cool. If you didn't see them in Season 22, they are fairly useful, but I think one of the things is like the game now is in a state where we're going to probably be looking to speed faster than 110. Generally speaking, I'm always on the lookout for kind of like 120, 125, somewhere in that kind of range. Now, whether we get there with this season, I'm not sure. So they might have a bit of an impact. The second part of the season theme is going to be the 4th cube slot. Now, the 4th cube slot can be whatever you want it to be. So you can put yourself a weapon power, armor power, or jewellery power. So I was kind of thinking the two main builds that scream to me that are going to get a really big advantage from this are going to basically be Nova, because we know this is always strong, and adding an extra weapon for the Necro is going to help us considerably. I don't think it's going to be quite as strong as in the season with the open cube, where we could put the 3 weapons in there, because we are losing a modifier. So I think we might well be speeding maybe 120s with like lowish Paragon and augments, but when I say lowish, I mean like 1,000, 1,200 Paragon, something like that. The other one that I was really excited for was the Wizard, because I was thinking, well, in the Talrasha Meteor, what we can do is we can take Focus and Restraint, we can put our Carini in the cube, and that will give us our 80% damage reduction. Then I thought, well, maybe instead of putting the Carini in the 4th cube slot, we could put the Orb of Infinite Depth in there. We can get the 80% damage reduction from that, and then get the 40% extra damage, because normally you have to have the Carini on the character, because you just need that 80% damage reduction. To Focus and Restraint, adding like a 1.5 modifier. Playing around with the explosive blast, it's a little bit clunky. I haven't quite worked out the irons in that build. I need to iron out the flaws. It's a little bit arcane thirsty, so I need to have a little bit of a look at what we can do with that. But it is very nice for utility, because with the meteor we could add the Aether Walker, you know, for some lower level speed farming and that sort of thing. Basically, it's going to impact, I think, a couple of builds like really, you know, quite a lot, because if you can get that extra modifier in that 4th cube slot, that's going to be really impactful. For a lot of other builds, it might just be something along the lines of a free Ring of Royal Grandeur. So any build that is going to use Focus and Restraint, like maybe a Leap Quake Barb or whatever, you're going to probably just take a COE. That's kind of how I think it's going to go. Obviously, some builds will be able to use Furnace for about 50% elite damage. Some of the speed farming builds, like a Wave of Light Monk, will get to use an Injure. So there's going to be a ton of utility stuff. Like Pony Sade is always popular. Somebody commented you can do Swift Mount. You know, that'll make your pony last almost forever. So I think for the kind of lower level stuff, it's going to be quite good. But in terms of actual impact, there's probably only going to be a handful of builds that this is going to be quite good for. Still, overall, across the board, I kind of expect it to be less powerful than the Ethereals, because they're adding like 300% damage in a lot of cases. They're adding like elemental rolls, they're adding like damage for Paragon points. I think Nova might be the exception there. I think that might actually be stronger with the 4th cube slot than the Ethereal, but only kind of like time will tell on that. So overall, big winner, Necro. I think maybe the Wizard as well. They're the 2 classes I'm interested in playing. But let me know your thoughts for any build ideas that you have. But other than that, I think it's going to be a fun season as well. We don't know how it's going to fit with D4. I think the player base is probably going to be pretty low. But as always, if there is a way of getting these Novas or the Wizards or whatever it is into like a group meta that really crushes the Paragon, you will still see people with like thousands and thousands of Paragons by the end of the season. GL 150 will be achievable, I think, for quite a few builds this season, even on the more kind of casual play, but I do think it is going to be harder to hit a 150 on most things, as I say, maybe with the exception of the Nova Necromancer. So we'll just have to see. We're going to have to play the game a little bit, do a bit of testing, and see where we come out. A couple of housekeeping questions on the clones. Somebody was asking, if you activate your potion, do you get a clone? Because obviously you get a random shrine effect with the Altar of Rites being fully maxed out. No, you do not, unfortunately. They also will not move floor with you, so if you go from one floor to another, your clone will disappear. And there is no timer to like indicate when you've got one. You just kind of have to like look out for it on the screen. When it disappears, then it is gone, and that is that. But my early thoughts are probably to make a Necromancer, because I just really like leveling a Necro anyway. It's generally very fast. We know that once we get to 70, we can start getting those modifiers into the cube. Maybe just build straight into Legacy of Dreams, Nova Necro. It depends what the starting sets are. Again, no real confirmation on that. I couldn't really find anything 100% which way or the other as to what starting sets we're going to get. So we are going to have to wait, unfortunately, for the pre-season blog, whenever that will be. And in terms of season start, I do think there is a slight chance we could be on for the 4th of October, because that would pull people onto this Blizzard launcher a few days before the D4 expansion. Although that would mean basically giving people probably less than a week's notice that the season is going to end, and if we don't get that, maybe 3rd or 4th week in October will be the date. But that's it. That's all I've got to say about season 33 at the moment. I think it's still going to be okay. It's always fun to reset the game, do the Altar of Rites, build up your character, try and see if you can get your 150 busted out. But definitely in terms of power, probably we're going to miss the Ethereals. I know I am. So let me know what class it is you're planning on playing, and we'll try and bust out a few pre-season videos. Again, if it's the 4th of October, it's not much time, but I will do my best for you. I've been the Casual. I'll catch you again soon. Take it easy, guys. Peace.